Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave.
I'm Catie.
And you are listening to our weekly Survivor recap podcast in which we break down the latest episode of Survivor. And Wednesday night, we got a cornucopia of greatness. We got two jam-packed episodes full of amazing Survivor stuff. Episodes 10 and 11. Catie, what do we have titles for these episodes?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they both. I think it was just one title, and it was $1 Million Gamble. I don't know if they both had titles.
So it was one episode then, maybe. I don't know.
I guess, but people are calling it 10 and 11 because it technically is. I mean, each episode stands apart, but
sure,
there was only one title as far as I know.
Okay, well, we will go ahead and break this down because there was so much going on. I feel like maybe the best approach for these two episodes is to sort of start at the beginning and work our way through to the end.
Maybe that'll work. Just kind of ramps up as the episode went along, so we might as well start back where we started.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like that'll help us make sure we don't miss too much, since there's a lot of good stuff in these two episodes.
A lot of meat to chew on.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's start at the beginning. Very first thing is basically the Adam J stuff.
Yeah, it seems weird now to go back to it. I mean, to go back to a time when Taylor was still around.
Yeah.
Thank God that's not the part we're in anymore. But yeah, that's where this episode started. That's true.
Yes, Adam says that he wants Jay out so bad he can taste his blood.
Yeah, not a fan of Jay anymore. If he ever was. I'm not sure he ever was.
Not to get too ahead of things, but yeah, I think it shows great patience by Adam, I think, to not have, he wants Jay out so bad, but he didn't jump right in trying to get Jay out. He kind of let the other people, the Gen X guys, fight it out in these two votes.
Yeah, it was a good 2 episodes for Adam because luckily, after the 2 nice votes where the big group voted together, they decided that they didn't want to just continue down the line and take out Will and Jay, and they decided now it was time to turn on each other. And so people like Jay and Adam, who were completely under the microscope at the last couple of tribal councils, are now just kind of sitting back and sliding by. So
yep, and Adam definitely did the right thing by doing that, noticing when it was time to back off,
which is kind of what we said he should do, and we weren't sure it would work, but it seems to be working for now.
For sure. Then we have Jay goes and digs up the food and gives it back.
He
good
did?
Move by Jay. Yeah, Jay, as a sign of good faith, he went and dug up the Taylor's hidden stash. And
whoa, I must have been in the bathroom when that happened because I have no memory of that.
That's how dare you miss part
of Survivor. I don't know. I was not. I don't recall getting up from the couch. You know what happened? Maybe is I have an antenna, and at the beginning of the episode, sometimes it's a little. I have to get the antenna situated correctly, and perhaps I was adjusting when that happened.
Okay, that's possible.
Yeah, that was nice of him.
Yep. And we find out that Chris and Brett want Jess out still. They're still holding a grudge over that.
Yeah, and their reasoning was she's a threat. And I'm like, look who you are surrounded with, guys. I mean, Jess is smart, yeah, but you've got like Zeke and David around you, and you're zeroing in on Jess.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously still a grudge at that point.
Yeah.
Chris even says, I owe her one. Yeah,
that seems to be the main reason.
It's just a grudge, yeah. And you're totally right. There are bigger threats in the game. I don't know why they would zero in on Jessica so much.
I don't either.
Okay, so after the commercial break, we have Ken.
Oh, you're going right down the line, aren't you?
Yeah, totally doing that this time.
All right.
So Ken and Hannah showmance. What do you think?
It's nice, to have dreams. I'm sure if I was out there, I'd feel the same about Ken, especially sitting there watching the sunrise. But I'm sure she just woke up. She was probably sleeping in the dirt. But girl,
Yeah.
wash your face with water because she had dirt all over her face
Yeah,
during that Ken moment.
she's a little dirty.
She was quite filthy, and Ken just looked perfect. But
Yeah.
hey, at least she's trying to lock him down.
So you
Not
don't think
romantically. I'm sure
think
she'd like to romantically. What?
you don't think the feelings are reciprocated in any way?
Oh, I don't think romantically. I have a feeling not to get ahead again, but Hannah ended up kind of siding with the David and Ken side. Nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it did, honestly.
Because Ken's been quiet in these last few episodes, but he kind of just, still does well without really being in the episode a whole lot.
Oh, absolutely. I think there is a possibility Ken maybe, would give Hannah a chance because he says he's not into the one night stands anymore. He's looking for someone he can settle down with.
Yeah,
and
but that's a cross-generational romance, and such a thing could never work. A Gen Xer and a millennial together? I don't think so.
But he's on the young side of the Gen X, so
yeah, but he's an old soul.
Yeah, that's true. So he's like 70. He's like 70 in real life.
I feel like it's just Hannah being silly. Again, she's really into playing up her persona, and I think that's all it is.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I don't think it's a legitimate, serious romantic thing. It's just a silly thing that they threw in to benefit us.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was funny.
Mm-hmm. So we have the Will outings. He outs Jay, right? About Jay's idol.
That was one of the greatest montages they've ever done.
Yeah.
Just literally everybody telling everybody. When poor Will, well, not poor Will because he blabbed on Jay, but is Jay aware that literally everybody knows about his idol? They didn't really show that, but I would have to assume.
I guess we never got to see that, whether or not Jay found out that everyone knew.
What kills me is that everybody knows, and yet after these 2 episodes, Jay remains with his idol. Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, to me, I mean, going after Zeke, not a bad idea, but I feel like they had the right idea to begin with, that Jay is the bigger threat. He's a threat that needs to go out now.
They're at, I mean, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but they're at final 9 now, and Jay's guaranteed final 8. And maybe he's just now turning on the immunity thing. Maybe he could go on a run. I mean, yeah, dangerous.
That's exactly why he's the biggest threat. The only thing that makes him the biggest threat is he is a threat to pull a Mike Holloway, win every immunity challenge and give no one a chance to ever vote him out.
Yeah, he destroyed the competition in that last immunity challenge. He smoked everybody. So I don't know what they're thinking. I really don't. Could
happen again. Could happen all the way to the end. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So, yeah, it was interesting that part played out exactly like the preview showed us.
Yeah, I mean, they were just must have been so like thrilled with the footage they had that they just had to show it to us right away.
Yeah, they basically just put it in the way it was in the episode, which was pretty, I think it worked well.
It was perfect both times. We got to see it twice, so I'm not going to complain.
So at the reward challenge, we get a very emotional moment from David. He's getting lots of support from the other tribes.
That was sweet and everything. Don't get me wrong, but is it giving away too much with the edit? He's really getting a hero edit. David is.
He is, but I don't know if he's going to win.
Well, yeah. I mean, the edit, we shouldn't focus too much on the edit, but it's pretty heavy-handed is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They love a story like that, a Cochran or a who else? There's another one.
Yeah, there's another one in there somewhere.
I feel like we just had one.
Aubrey?
Maybe, I don't
I
know,
mean, because she
but
made it to the end.
they love those stories where you start out as a weird, awkward person, and not to take away from the actual journey that he's on out there. It's a legitimate thing, and all they're doing is showing it. But boy, Probst likes to just
He
sit there and be
milks
like, David, so tell me, what is it like? Every
it.
time he gets the opportunity.
Yeah. I think maybe we got a little bit of that with Spencer in Second Chance.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Spencer, Cochran, they love to milk that.
Yeah. The whole like, I don't do good socially normally, and this is a
I'm a
chance for
robot,
me.
and now I can cry.
I'm a game bot, and this is a chance for me to become a real person, a real live boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do see that, they're giving him that arc. I don't know if it means he's just going farther into the game or if it means he's going all the way to the end. But as we'll get to it later, but I do question his ability to win at the end at this point. Whether he might get there, but I don't know if he can win.
He made some questionable decisions tonight, but I would say the same of all the Gen-Xers, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, and it's not because of his decisions. And yeah, we'll get there.
Zeke seems to think he has a good chance of beating anyone because
David?
of his story. Zeke knows what they're doing with the edit. He's like, look at this guy. Of course he's
Yeah.
going to win if he gets to the end.
Yeah, Zeke is onto it. Yeah. And I do think
He's
there's
a
something
smart
to that.
guy.
Yeah, I do think there's something to it for sure. I had a question about the reward challenge. Remember at the end when they were doing puzzle blocks and they were like stacking the blocks?
Yeah.
And they're like color blocks. Can you do that puzzle off to the side of the platform?
What difference does it make?
Well, I feel like if you could sort of set the blocks up, line them up side by side, you could spin them easier, and you could see what each one, what colors, like how they were lining up, and spin them on the ground, and then stack them once you had them turned in the right direction.
You think maybe, but I mean, it looks like there was a certain way you had to do it because they were both doing it right there on the platform. So
yeah, I wonder if that's not allowed. If you
probably
can't
not if no one did it.
Yeah, because that to me that would be so much easier, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. Anyways,
I didn't lose any sleep over it.
I was just curious about it.
Yeah. Sure.
So the reward was food and beer, and of course Brett is on the reward.
Yeah, because there's beer. Zeke and Brett always get the beer. What's up with that? But
in this challenge they bonded over beer.
They did. Yeah, Brett, it was smart because it was before Chris got voted out, but Brett still sensed that he needed to start. He must have realized, which everybody's probably realizing at that point, that Zeke is the linchpin in all of this. And so he decided he'd need to have his own bonds with Zeke because Chris probably wasn't going to be around forever or much longer. Yeah. So he started building that relationship before Chris even went home. So that was smart. He's getting a little... He's maybe a little savvier than I was giving him credit for.
Yeah, I do think he's the type of player that had to lay low in the early game, and it's not going to look great, from our perspective. But it was the way he had to play, and he needs to emerge. It's time for him to emerge here, and I think he's starting to. So,
yeah, and the way he handled, I mean, I don't want to go into the generation thing, but the way Jay handled Michelle being voted out versus the way Brett and Sunday handled Chris being voted out. I mean, a world of difference. They were mature and they were like, look, he had to go. I understand that. I'm not mad. Whereas Jay was like, good job going to the bottom or whatever the hell he said when Michelle got voted out to Adam. Yeah. Just an ass. But
yeah. No, good
I mean,
point.
maturity does bear out in those two examples.
Oh, absolutely. It was starting to look like the more mature players were the ones that were sticking in the game until we had Chris and Jessica go home here. But I mean, yeah, you're getting like the Michelles and the Taylors are going out and the Figgies. And it seems like the less mature you are, you're gone, right?
Yeah. But now that the Gen X Civil War has begun, I don't know. Well, those
Or
millennials might be safe for a while.
yeah, I think so. It's just that part of it's that time in the game where, threats are going to start getting voted out,
Yeah.
It's just that
Yep.
time.
Yep. Yep. Tis
So,
that time.
yeah, in this reward, a little bit of a surprise, they bring letters from home, loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
figured that was gonna happen because they showed so much crying in the preview, and I was like, something emotional is happening.
oh,
So
nice.
that made sense, and it was nice to see the Adam thing. I figured he wasn't telling anybody because people were so mean to him. And I was like, are you really gonna be mean to a guy whose mom is so sick? But I understand why he's not telling them because he doesn't want any like non-genuine like sympathy or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
No, that's a good point. Do you think he should, let's say Adam makes it to Final Tribal Council. Do you think he should tell everyone at Final Tribal, like a Jeremy Collins situation where he kept it under wraps until
I
that
mean,
moment and drops it at the right time? It worked for Jeremy Collins.
yeah,
Do you think they would think it was disgusting for him to
that's
do
yeah,
such
because
things?
it's different. It's a different situation.
It's a
Like,
different tearjerker. It's
yeah, I don't know
death
if
versus
like
life.
the one is such a joyous thing anyway. Like, even if he doesn't get the money, it's like, oh, he still has a son now, a new baby.
Mhm.
Whereas the Adam thing, man, I don't know. That's kind of he could
Shady.
just say something like my mom's had health problems, he could be vague about it. Don't be like, oh, my mom has stage 4 cancer and I need this. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a way to do it that would be not so crass, I
Yeah.
think. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
remember feeling that when I watched Jeremy's Tribal Council, I saw it as a bad move. I thought it was like it would leave a bad taste in their mouths and they wouldn't like it, but I was totally wrong. They bought into it completely.
Well, you have to consider the source. It's coming from Jeremy, who's been
Exactly.
nothing but a
Yeah.
source of like camaraderie and
Yeah, everybody loves
jovialness
Jeremy.
all season. I don't know if Adam can pull off the same move. His social game, I don't think, is near the level that Jeremy's was. So I don't know.
Hey, excellent point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay. Yeah, we get more stuff from David at that reward about his fear of life and death. And
Yeah, that was neat. I mean, that's again, it's a genuine evolution that he's going through. So, but the editors have just
yeah,
feasted on it.
yeah, but it is good stuff. I agree. Who can't relate to that? Like, unless you're, I guess a lot of people can relate to that where they're so scared of the unknown and scared of
Yeah,
everything that they aren't living their life to the fullest. I mean, everybody can relate to that. I could see that.
I enjoyed the Ken David moment because we haven't really seen them interact for a while, so it was good to see that bromance solidify once again. So, yeah, I did like that moment. Ken's a good little cheerleader. He's really good
Yeah.
at building up the downtrodden and the insecure, which is when we did our preseason cast, that is not what I expected at all from him. So it's nice to
Yeah.
this whole cast is just good. Like I didn't want to lose anyone, on Wednesday night. Like I was scared we were gonna lose, you know, if it would have been Will or Sunday, it would have been okay. But anyone else, I was like, oh, come on. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Will or Sunday, but yeah, they're the kind of the at the bottom of the character greatness, out of all those people
Yeah, and
that
it's
were left.
really that maybe that's why they haven't shown them very much because they have so much an embarrassment of riches with everybody else that they're not going to waste our time showing. Although they wasted a lot of our time with Taylor, but they're not going to waste our time with Will and Sunday unless they start making big moves.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to immunity. Jay, Ken, and Adam had some problems with ants crawling all over him.
Yeah, that was weird. I think they just wanted to zoom in on Ken's abs, though.
Yeah,
Really.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, here's an excuse to zoom in on Ken's abs.
Which everyone appreciated, so it's fine.
Yeah, it works out good for them. Ends up being Zeke versus David.
A preview of things to come.
Yes, indeed. Very, very good foreshadowing.
Yeah.
The battle of Zeke and David. In this case, David wins, which won't be the case later on, right?
No, he certainly doesn't win. Although, whatever, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we get some more emotion from David.
And more dwelling on it from Jeff Probst.
Same old stuff, like, why does this feel so good?
Because I'm a loser, Jeff, and I like to feel like a winner now.
You sounded like Tony Vlachos there.
Sorry, not what I was going for.
Who was it, Jeff? Yeah, same old stuff, David. Thanks for the support, guys. Means a lot to me. But yeah, let's move on to the scramble before tribal. It's pretty much Zeke in the middle, right? And it's Jess and Chris going after each other.
Well, Zeke finds out who they're going after, that they're going after Jess, and he shares that information. And so he kind of has to make the decision to which side his troops are going to go. And so ultimately he decides to go with the Chris, no, not Chris.
Jess.
The Jess.
He chooses to side with Jess, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you remember some of the specifics there.
Sorry, I was distracted by something.
No, and I'm serious. I'm glad you remember the scramble, the details of that scramble, because there's so much in this episode. It gets a little mixed up for me.
Well, you especially forget a little bit of the first episode because the second episode was so next level that it's hard. And not that this first one wasn't good too. It was, but not quite the same as the second.
So yeah, let's move it along. Tribal Council. We get we get a lot of talk about voting blocks versus alliances again, and Hannah coins a new term, trust cluster.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's annoying, and I don't like it.
What is the difference between a voting block and an alliance?
I mean, the idea behind voting blocks was that you just shift, like you'll vote with a group of people for one vote, and if you need to move to vote with someone else the next vote, you will. I mean, and no one's going to be pissed because you've broken trust or whatever. And so
does that apply to does that apply to floaters then? Like someone who's floating in the middle and they're shifting between blocks?
It's basically like a way of validating floating.
Yeah, and I can see that. It's a decent argument. It's just that a lot of times, maybe even most of the time, floaters don't win. It does happen.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like loyalty seems to be valued, but not necessarily as much as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is too cut and dry. It's too black and white.
And there is loyalty within voting blocks. Like, Chris and Brett and Sunday would have always been loyal to each other. And Zeke and, well, I don't know now who Zeke is extremely loyal to anymore, but David, for example, and Ken, and Jess were always loyal to each other. And Will and Jay, but now that's over. So if you have like one other person that you're super loyal to, then people will see that, but I don't know. I feel like you need at least that one person.
Right. You mean a trust cluster?
No, I mean one person you can trust, because I don't like that term.
So is there anything different about a trust cluster? Can you understand? Is there something to understand about what a trust cluster is that I'm not seeing? Or
no, and I think we've already devoted too much time to the term trust cluster.
All right, let's move on. I love how lost Jay was at the tribal council. He was.
Yeah, he was. I think he was trying to just decide whether he needed to play his idol or not. Like people had been telling him that it was going to be him, but he said no one at tribal council mentioned him, so he felt like playing it would be stupid, and he was right. He didn't get any votes.
So, yeah, do you remember like how the votes went to get Chris out?
No, he got a lot of votes. That's all I remember.
Basically, like Zeke got everyone convinced that they needed to turn on Chris.
Yeah, pretty much everyone but Chris's group.
And Chris just had what? Brett and
Sunday. I think he might have had Jay too.
Brett, Sunday, and Jay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but everyone else was on board with Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, getting into the next episode now. Mad props to Jay for trusting his gut and kind of reading the tribal council, knowing that he didn't have to play his idol.
Yeah, he's a lot better at playing idols. Well, I guess by not playing them. He's a lot better on knowing when he doesn't have to play it than David is. David's not great at playing his idols.
No, not so much.
Pretty good at finding them, not great at utilizing
But I thought
them.
the first time he played it, didn't he actually save Jess with that idol play? Or
yes, he did. So that kind of worked out. He saved an ally, but
she's gone now.
Now she's gone.
Yeah, so I guess it worked for a while. Yeah, I love how immediately after this tribal council, Zeke and David have the same idea.
Yeah, man, they're both on the same level.
Yeah.
And Zeke was just faster, and that's as small as sometimes that's all it comes down to. He didn't wait till the sun came up. He went right to Brett Sunday and said. And to be fair, I think that I'm not sure that mattered, at least with Brett, because I think that Brett felt better about Zeke than David anyway. And so he probably would have sided with the Zeke side no matter what.
Yeah, to be honest, I tend to agree with you there. I think Brett was ultimately going to end up siding with Zeke because he just likes Zeke better. And
right.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting how they had the same idea. Dave, like you said, it was only the next day, the next morning. The sun was rising. Yeah. The sun was coming up.
Like, I gotta do it right away, but he still wasn't fast enough for David.
Yeah. And Brett obviously had already bonded with Zeke, and like I said, I think it was over beer. Because I heard Brett say to Dave in that reward, he's like, have you tried this one yet? It's sort of like those beer snobs talk about craft beers, you know, you gotta taste, you can taste the hops, you know, like, so
but Zeke said he doesn't like beer. He doesn't drink beer normally.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point, that he is playing that chameleon that Cochran used to talk about, you know.
He's morphing from a wine drinker or whatever he is in real life to a beer drinker just for his game. And that's what you have to do. You can't just hold strictly to yourself and be like, I'm not drinking beer. Because something as simple as drinking beer with someone can be a bonding tool. And then you have someone in your pocket. Yeah.
And as Rob and Steve discussed in their podcast, that's what Zeke is really good at. He is really good at meeting people where they are, like being the person that they want them to be at that time. You know,
he's got that down. He's got a good handle on that. But again, like it draws people to him. You know what I mean? Like,
in what way? In a good way?
Well, it like the Chris thing, you know. He just is lucky that he has these things in common with these people that he doesn't even know about. I mean, the Oklahoma thing is a luck thing.
That helps a lot.
The fact that Brett was keeping his sexuality under wraps, that was kind of a luck thing too, that he just kind of, but Zeke's warmth and his openness to people draws that out of them, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. So a lot of this episode is Zeke versus David. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Fighting for the troops.
Yeah, there's two masterminds fighting for the troops, but I just feel like it's too soon. I feel like there's still 10 people left. Why is this happening already?
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know that it needs to happen this soon. I agree.
They still had Will and Jay to get rid of. But I think they both realized Will and Jay are tools you can utilize. And Will maybe isn't a huge threat, but Jay is fine being a tool to be utilized right now, but he's dipping under the radar at a really good time where Zeke and David are now on everybody's radar.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think Jay was the guy to go after. You're exactly right. You can use Will as a vote, but Jay isn't worth keeping around for that purpose.
No. You got to get that guy out. I like Jay again. I mean, I'm not a fan of some of the things he said in the last couple things about Adam or to Adam, but
I like Jay.
I'm charmed by him just like everybody else is. And so that's dangerous.
Yeah, I think Jay's great. I actually wouldn't mind a Jay win this season.
He's hilarious. Have you ever watched his confession, his secret scenes?
I don't need to. His confessionals on the show are great.
Yeah, but there's more of it, is what I'm saying. Like, you can go get more of it, and it's even funnier.
Yeah, because they just let him go off for 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's funny. Very much got that millennial speak, that millennial language, but I don't know. It's funny.
He's very confident. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure.
But he pulls it off, and I'm not mad at him for it, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the reward challenge, we got. I loved this part. Probst is naming off the rewards, and he's like, mac and cheese, and I think it was like Hannah that's like mac, or who was it? That was someone was like mac and cheese.
I don't remember.
And then Brett, or he's like beer, and Brett's like beer, and he's like pie, and Will's like pie. It was like each person liked a certain thing, and they like all lit up as he said it. Yeah. I think it was Hannah with the mac and cheese.
Probably. She seems like a mac and cheese kind of girl.
Yeah, so each person like had their thing that they got excited about. It was really funny. I loved it.
Yeah, there was a lot of like drawing of rocks in these 2 episodes. In the first reward challenge, someone had to draw a rock, and whoever got the odd one had no chance at reward. And then the second reward, whoever got the odd one definitely won reward. And then, of course, we have another rock draw at the end of the episode, which we'll get to. But
amazing.
The reward challenge itself was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It was the funniest reward challenge of all time.
Is it funnier than people running around blindfolded, running into stuff? And
yeah, because that's like only if they run into something.
Which happens.
You know, when that hurts them. Sometimes they get hurt.
Yeah,
you know, whereas the worm thing, they just look like idiots, and it's so funny. They're trying so hard, and I'm sure it's just exhausting. Oh man, it was funny. I was laughing.
Yeah, lots of funny stuff. Lots of people getting naked.
Yeah, white butt glowing in the sun is what he said.
It's white butt glowing in the sun. Yeah, I think like Will's pants were falling down.
Yeah, everybody's were.
Was it Zeke? He's like, Zeke looks like a Survivor mime.
Yeah, he had it all over his face. Yeah, I was like, good one, Probst. Good one.
Way to go, Probst.
Excellent.
Way to go. So yeah, ultimately, David was the one who drew the rock, right? Or somebody got to. Yeah, somebody
David
got to go on.
Got to go along. Yeah.
He got to go along. Yeah. So ultimately, you get Zeke, David, Brett, and Sunday going on the reward together. Stranger than fiction, right? I mean, you can't write this stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know how that worked out. First of all, the team placement, that it was Zeke, Brett, and Sunday, his new followers, and that David, the co-general that he's going to war against, is the other guy that goes with them. It was, yeah, you really can't write that any better. But at the same time, it was sort of, you know, you never really get anything great on these rewards. You never get exactly what you expect from these reward challenge conversations. But we certainly got something unexpected on this reward challenge. So.
Oh, absolutely. Real quick before we get to that is Adam saves his steel. He talked about maybe using his reward steel. What do you think he's thinking? And is it a good move to save it on this reward? Should he have stolen it from David? Because
I
David
think he should have stolen it from David. I mean, he doesn't know that the next reward challenge is the loved ones. But if he steals that, like Taylor's prophecy is going to come to fruition, and people are going to be mad if he steals that from someone.
His mom can't make it out there, right? With her
I'm sure not. No,
okay,
no, they already showed it. It's some other guy. I'm sure it's like a brother, but I don't know if it'd be a brother because then
it almost looked like his dad.
Left.
It kind of looked like his dad.
I don't know. It's some guy. It's either a friend or a cousin or a brother. I don't know, but it's not his mom.
I don't suppose his dad would go out there either with his mom.
Yeah, I just don't see any more family members leaving her. But what do I know? Yeah,
I mean, his parents could be separated too.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know that. But yeah, I don't know. I think you got a good point. What if Taylor's prophecy comes true? That's
a terrifying world to live in. But
yeah, indeed.
I really hope Adam. If he steals that, that's mean.
Oh,
Unless
Well,
he chooses that moment to reveal to the cast what's going on.
I think that's his only option is if he decides to steal, he has to explain why he did. And I think people
Yeah,
would ultimately forgive him in that case.
that's true. Maybe that's what he's had in his mind the whole time.
I'm sure. I'm sure that's
If he could
exactly
save
what
it for
he's
the
thinking.
loved ones and then use the excuse, then I mean, not to call it an excuse, but the justifiable reason behind it. But still, it's still gonna sting if you get your loved one's visit taken away.
Absolutely. All right, on to an amazing Survivor moment.
Oh,
What
right, yeah.
I would say like one of the greatest Survivor moments of all time, and maybe you can explain, try to put into words like why, because I'm not sure like why it was so great. It's almost like not that big of a deal, right? But it was
No,
just
it's
so
not, but
surprising.
it was so out of left field. And it's
Yeah,
so unlike Survivor to keep something like that from the audience, because I'm sure maybe Brett mentioned that to casting, or I'm sure they knew, I'm sure, or maybe they didn't, but I feel like that about people when you put them
yeah.
on
I
your
mean, I
show.
I imagine that's part of what got Brett cast. I mean, obviously he probably could have gotten cast anyways, but the fact that he's not your cliche,
Boston Cop.
um, um, yeah, or not your cliche homosexual either. I mean,
Hmm.
he doesn't have that like, you know,
Flamboyant.
that flamboyance that you usually see from gay characters on,
That they cast. Yeah.
yeah,
They
that they
usually
normally
cast a
cast on the
spoken
show.
type person.
E-
Yeah.
exactly, like
A
kind of more
Frankie
like
Grande, if you will.
yeah, kind of more like Zeke,
Yeah.
and for for this guy to be a Boston cop and be the way he is, and he's gay too, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we got to cast this guy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. And at first I thought Brett was just being a dick and he was maybe um outing somebody
Yeah,
because
well
and I was like, whoa, he is not going to do this, because that's how little I believed it could have possibly been Brett.
the
But
thought didn't even cross my mind. I was
no,
like, who's
me
he outing?
either.
Who's he outing
Yeah.
here?
And
And
why? That's
then
a dick move.
Zeke's like, you? And in that moment, I was like, I actually yelled. I was like, no way! I
Yeah.
watched the
Yeah,
episode by
that's just
myself.
it, is that it was just such a genuine, it was a nice moment. It was a
Oh,
person to
yes.
person, a confession. And there, in the past few seasons of Survivor, there've been a lot of like gross moments, with Scott and Jason, and then even Cambodia with Andrew Savage mocking like Stephen Fishback and that sort of thing. And then go back to Worlds Apart, where there was a whole lot of gross stuff.
Lots of nastiness. Oh,
Yeah, so for this, I mean, this season has just been full of, I mean, there's been, icky stuff, but not on the level. Like the Taylor and Figgy thing, Taylor stealing food, whatever. That's not great. But you have moments like this that more than make up for any kind of. It's hard to explain why it was so touching and why it was so. And
well, I think
it really showed like the differences between the generations too,
yeah,
which has been kind of forced down our throats most of the season. But this is
exactly.
a case where there's a genuine difference between people who grew up 35 years ago and people who are growing up now, where being gay is okay and it's accepted. I mean, by a good vast majority of society.
A lot more than it used to be. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what made it so great. There's two levels to it. One is the huge surprise, because
Mhm.
like everybody loves a good surprise, and when Survivor can keep something like that under wraps for 10 episodes of a season,
Yeah.
and then surprises us with it,
That's
that
because they knew how great that moment was. They were
they
like, it's
saved it.
all going to be worth it
Yeah,
because of that moment. If like
yeah,
that moment hadn't happened, maybe it would have been brought out earlier, but they knew the gold mine they were sitting on and they were like, not mentioning
exactly.
it until this moment.
Yeah, so that's one aspect of what made it great, and you totally hit it on the head with the other side, which is the profoundness of the Gen X millennial stuff finally,
Paying off.
this is where it actually matters, like the different experience that Brett had versus the experience Zeke has as a gay man today. And he was talking about the don't ask, don't tell stuff, and
Yeah.
they
And
just
he was
really,
in the military.
yeah, they really leveled they were on the level together, and
Mhm.
it was just an amazing moment. I loved it.
Yeah, it was one of the best character moments on Survivor because it wasn't like forceful, it wasn't heavy-handed. It was just something that happened naturally, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. And then you watch Secret Scenes later, and you and Brett talks about how his main motivation for it was strategic. So, I
Oh,
mean,
really?
well,
Nice.
he wanted Zeke on his side, and he was like, and he understands the value that the most valuable thing you have in this game is the bonds. That's
Oh,
what's going to win you $1,000,000. And he understood
absolutely.
that. And he felt like he was on the bottom. And he was like, I have to make bonds with people. And Zeke is the person I have something in common with. And it just happened to work out. Kismet, they get all these rewards together that they get a moment alone to talk about it. So yeah, it was everything came together. And now Brett seems to be in a better spot than he was. So
Yeah, and beer, Catie. I mean, they were
don't
drink
underestimate the value of
they were
beer.
drinking beer. They were getting a little buzz on, and they felt you could
Jeez,
tell
yeah.
the conversation was flowing. You know,
Brett drinks more on Survivor than I do in my regular life.
that's good for Brett. All right. So yeah. So Zeke, in this moment, Zeke's getting his soldiers together. He's getting the numbers he needs.
Yeah, and initially, who did he want to go for? He wanted to go after David because he heard David was coming for him. Yes,
I
and
believe so.
but it's weird when you think about how it all came together. Is that the people on Zeke's side are people that 2 episodes ago were nowhere near his side. You know what I mean? Like his side is Jay, Will, Brett, and Sunday. 2 episodes ago, they weren't. I guess Brett and Sunday were kind of in that big conglomeration, but they weren't his core group, you know? So
Mhm.
suddenly Zeke's kind of winning the war, but with a whole new group of people. So I
Yeah,
guess
that is interesting. I suppose part of that is when you have such a strong correlation on the other side, the only thing you can do is rally the troops that are there, the remaining troops, and be like, well, we all got to stick together because if one
that
of us
group isn't
goes,
going to get broken up.
yeah, if one of us goes over there, the rest of us are screwed. So
Mm-hmm.
and that comes into play with the drawing of the rocks because that's ultimately what it becomes. It becomes a stand.
Mm-hmm.
They play a game of chicken. Um, and before we get there, we have an immunity challenge.
Just a blowout. Just ridiculous. It
Yeah,
was a cool challenge too, but Jay just
that's all there really is to say about it, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, he was done with the puzzle before anyone else got to the puzzle.
mhm. I guess pre-immunity there was one thing. We have Hannah and David have their discussion on the beach.
Yeah, and even then, I was like, I understand what Hannah's trying to tell David here, but she's bad at it.
Yeah.
Like, she's trying to tell him, I'm with you, but she's not good at explaining why. She's not good at soothing David's fears, and she's not good at explaining what her plan is going forward, or else they just didn't show it. But I just, I try to find things to like about Hannah's game, but I come up empty.
Yeah. It's not great.
It's not great.
It's not bad. It's just not great.
It's not great.
And yeah, Brett saw them having this discussion. I
Yeah.
don't think that was a great thing.
No.
The way
No.
he was looking over at them, his body language was saying like, "What are you guys up to?" You know?
Yeah, I'm sure he knew that he was
he
on the
he
verge
looked
of losing.
suspicious from a distance. I mean, that's bad.
That's quite bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to make of that, but I just didn't like Hannah's delivery. She was
Yeah.
telling David, "Look, I'm abandoning Zeke," but she wasn't great at. She's not even great in front of her allies, who she's being truthful with. And then the whole scene later with Hannah and Zeke at the well was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Right after Jay wins immunity, Hannah talks to Zeke, and Zeke is trying to get a feel for, where's Hannah at? Is she with me? And she doesn't even have a
She goes,
response.
this is what she does. She goes,
Yeah, she looks up a little higher, I think. I think she like saw an airplane go by or something.
that's literally what she did, and I can't.
I
And
can't even.
all she had to do was be like, "Yeah, we're good, cool. I'm ready to vote out David. It's go time." That's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's it.
Couldn't pull it off.
Just tell them what they want to hear, right?
That's what Survivor is. Tell people what they want to hear.
Which Zeke is really good at.
And Hannah's not. Because
Not so
Hannah
much.
almost got her ass voted out because of that little play. Like, she literally was so horrible that he switched the vote from David and put it on Hannah.
Yeah, he sniffed it out for sure. He knew in that moment that he didn't have Hannah, so he knew what to do.
I found it interesting that Adam decided to stick with Hannah and Ken and Jess. Like, I thought maybe Adam would be, so as a super fan, would understand the danger of going to rocks, and he would pull a Cochran and want no part in it, because it's not like he's completely betraying somebody, because he has this relationship with Zeke and he has had it for the whole game. So, siding with him is not the worst thing in the world, and he could explain that to them. But I think he's maybe part of his laying low strategy is, not making any waves.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a good point. I mean, so much was made about Jess being the one that they're trying to convince to switch her vote, so they don't have to go to
that's what I was thinking of later. Like, anyone could have switched their vote. One person just switched their vote. Why did it come down to Jess? Because she was obviously wavering, or?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Maybe they saw how much Jess looked like she didn't know what to do, and they kind of took advantage of that.
Yeah, Hannah's like, come on, Jess, go to rocks. And she finally does, and Jess gets screwed.
Yeah,
and I knew that's how it was. I knew it would play. I knew that's why they were focusing on Jess wavering, because I was like, she's gonna get the bad rock.
Yeah, she's getting the bad rock. Yeah, I don't understand that. Adam, that was a ballsy move by Adam, by all those guys to go to rocks.
The common amongst the bloggers and the podcasters and the recappers, the common belief is that you can't be afraid to go to rocks. And in this case, most times you go to rocks, you're down to like, 6 people or less?
Yeah.
But in this case, they had 10 people. And so your chances were, if Ken hadn't had the idol played for him, would have been 1 in 7. But it was 1 in 6 because Ken had an idol played for him.
Right.
But anyway, someone gets the 1 rock, and that someone could be you. And I personally, if I were Jess, the second vote, I would have been like, screw you guys. I'm not going to rocks, because I am the unlucky bastard who will get it. I've been myself long enough to know that I will draw that evil rock to me. And so
no, I tend to agree with you and Rob C on this one too. It's just this particular instance where I think the best move, just in this scenario, it's the best move to go to or to switch your vote so you don't have to go to rocks. And that's only because there's no strong alliances really. Everybody's floating around. There's lots of room to work your way into a group or change things up. There's still time. Buy yourself more time in the game. This case, that's what I would do. Other times, I agree that you can't be afraid to go to rocks, because you have to be willing to make that stand. If there is a solid alliance on the other side, you're screwed anyways. And if you know that, you roll the dice, because it's better than getting voted out and picked off one by one.
Yeah, but with 10 people and voting blocks instead of alliances, then she would have had time to try and make something happen. She could have shared her advantage and been like, look, I have this and I'll give it to you if you just kind of don't vote me out. You know what I mean? There's things she could have maneuvered, and it wouldn't have been an easy road, but so you lose Hannah. Who cares? Was she even really with you? She just suddenly joined your team because she likes Ken's abs.
Yeah, she wasn't worth it.
No, she wasn't worth it. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, maybe if it was Ken or David, you owe them something, but you don't know Hannah shit. You've never even been on a try with her until the merge. Who cares? Get rid of her.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I couldn't understand about it. Like,
I totally agree. Now was the time to do something, to switch your vote. It was the move. It was the obvious move for any of them, or all of them. Switch it to Hannah. You'll figure it out later. There's more wiggle room. What happened in this tribal council with
I don't know.
with everyone getting so like there was so much animosity all of a sudden. We talked earlier about how this season didn't have any of that ugliness. Well, like up until that moment,
There was a little bit in this tribal
I
council.
feel like
Yeah.
things were starting to get to that point.
I think there's a lot they left out because I think David must have done something to really get to people because people were like mad at David. And even Zeke was like making fun of David, and that seems completely out of his character.
Well, yeah,
But,
Brett and Zeke have obviously become a strong pair now.
Yeah.
They're on the same page, and that page is David sucks.
Yeah.
And here's what the realization they came to is that, well, or what they've told themselves at least, this David shtick of everyone should feel sorry for me. They can see the story arc of loser wiener guy couldn't hack it out here, you know, makes it to the end. Let's give him $1 million. They see right through it, and they're tired of hearing him whine. And yeah, they're just pissed now because it looks like they're about to lose to him, and that's when shit gets real, and that's when they all get pissed off.
Yeah.
And the attacks
So
begin.
was that all that ugliness before the first vote, before the second vote? Like, did that bust out before anyone voted at anything, or?
I think it came to a head before the second tribal council.
So before the first vote?
Yes. Yep.
Because they voted 2 times.
Yep. No, it was all at the beginning of the tribal council.
Okay.
So all of this started to emerge on their way to tribal council that night.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the battle between David and Zeke must have become really like it must have really broken out, and like there must have been like an actual war between them, and like bad words being said, not like swear words, but like bad sentiment being thrown at each other.
Yeah.
And I just something we didn't see.
Yeah.
And then he went in on Ken, and I was like, whoa, what did Ken do? Let's leave Ken out of this. And then Sunday threw Ken's name under the bus.
Yeah, well, Ken was on the other side, you know?
Right, exactly. But why are you coming for Ken? What did he do?
He's an easy target. He doesn't stand up for himself, and he's a type B.
He did, though. He did.
He tried.
Poor Ken.
He's admittedly a type B personality. He's not very aggressive, and people like that are easy to attack. And it's easy to say, oh, this guy's not assertive and he doesn't deserve to win Survivor. And I think they kind of singled him out to be a target.
So you don't deserve to win Survivor if you're not assertive?
Well, in the eyes of type A people, I think so.
Type A people suck. But that's usually all they cast.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all type A, but to varying degrees, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I think Brett's like a big type A guy, and
yeah.
You know, Ken is an easy target, and that's why they're picking on him, and that's why I don't know how the jury's going to think, but I worry about Ken's chances of winning at the final tribal and David's because of the way they were treated in this tribal council.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I wasn't really fond of that. I mean, Brett and Zeke had that wonderful moment, and then they just kind of became bullies. But that's what makes me think there was something. Because Brett was worked up. Brett was fired up, and I don't know what happened to get him that way.
They're scared they're going to lose. That's what I think.
Yeah, that could be it. And Zeke was damn close to getting voted out. So
yeah, he worked his ass off to not get voted out.
He was all about, him and Hannah were all about going to Rocks. I was terrified when they went to Rocks because that means you could lose. I mean, I was hoping Will or Sunday drew the rock, but we're not going to be that lucky.
Yeah. I was looking at all those people and I was like, yeah, it's not going to be Will or Sunday because that's just too easy. I was like, it's probably Jess.
Yeah, because they made a show of her freaking out about it.
Yeah, her freaking eyes, man. Her eyes were bugging.
Her eyes have been a character all seasons.
Yeah, they just got bigger and bigger as the season went on.
Yeah, yep. But why did David play his idol on Ken? Explain that to me.
Yeah. So there was whispering going on before the vote. And they were like, let's vote Ken, you know? And Adam heard that. Adam overheard them say, let's vote Ken.
Yeah.
And So David, takes his time playing the idol.
Yeah.
And when he comes back, sits down, he's like trying to decide who he's going to play it on. Apparently, Jeff knows what he's thinking because he gives him time.
Yeah.
He doesn't start reading, or you have
This
to play
is an
before you.
idol.
Yeah, he doesn't start that shtick. Yeah. So basically, Adam tells David, "Hey, I heard these guys saying they're going to vote for Ken."
Yeah.
And
Which was
David
something
David had
did.
nothing better to go on. Hannah's telling him, they're gonna vote for me. I know it. But that wasn't enough to convince, because like you said, Hannah sucks at convincing people what to do.
Yeah.
So he listens to Adam and plays his idol on Adam.
No, on Ken.
On Ken. I'm sorry, Ken.
Yeah.
And
Can I say
thought,
Ken made out? Oh yeah, keep going.
Sure. I thought it was a great play by Sunday, because Sunday is the one who sold it. She sold it, and it was when I was watching it, I thought it was obviously like it was a ruse. It was obviously a ruse, but it worked.
They couldn't pick up on it.
Nope. So good on Sunday.
Maybe part of that is that Adam didn't play with Sunday until the merge, so maybe he didn't know her as well. But anyway, I was just gonna say Ken really made out like a bandit in this episode, other than getting picked on. But he got an idol played for him, so he didn't have to deal with the rock draw, and he got the legacy advantage. So good for him.
Two very good things for Ken. So go Ken.
Although now they lost Jess, so his side of things is down in the numbers. So that's not great for Ken.
And the biggest thing to me is like how people were treating him. Like that means they're not feeling the, soft guy thing, the nice guy stuff. They're not feeling it.
I don't know. I think it was a heat of the moment thing, and I think maybe Brett's not going to be able to look past it, but I think Zeke.
Oh, certainly. All the other people left in the game who end up making up the jury could end up, being totally fine with Ken's personality and the way he chose to play the game. But yeah, if I had to put my money on it, Brett's not the type of guy who's going to see past it.
No, probably not.
All right. And a Survivor first, Jeff says, the game has spoken.
Does he always say that when they go to rocks?
No, I don't think so.
What has he said the other two times?
I think
he decide? What did he say when Catie got voted out?
Good point. I might be wrong. I thought he never said game has spoken before.
I don't remember him saying it either. I'm just wondering now what he said those other two times. So we'll have to figure that out.
He may have said tribe has spoken and realized that was not true.
Yeah, maybe he's like, okay, next time I go to rocks, I'm going to say something else. Because it's true. The tribe didn't. They did in a way speak. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yep. Legacy advantage goes to Ken. Yep.
He only has to make it 6 more days, but that's 3 more votes.
Yeah, that'll be tough for him.
It might be tough. I don't know.
But you got Jay, so there's 1 vote. You could probably hope. But he's got an idol, so.
He's on Team Zeke now. I don't know. But now, well, if you want to get into predictions for next week, it looks like Will wants to flip. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Zeke would be stupid to leave Jay in the game, I think, so.
Yeah. But if he's one of his numbers, if he gets rid of Jay, then he's down to 4-4 again. And they could go to rocks again. No one wants that.
Yeah, good point. You
can only escape death so many times.
Yeah, Jess really wanted this, didn't she?
Yeah, but then you go and watch her Ponderosa video, and I was expecting like her to be just shattered. And all she talked about was like how good her stomach looked. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, she was so torn up. It was a heartbreaking way for her to go out of the game, but yeah, I guess all she cared about was losing some weight. So,
well, it was funny because the Ponderosa for Chris, he and Taylor apparently really got along, which is funny because at the beginning of the episode, Chris was talking about what a moron Taylor is, and he is, and he sounds like a moron. The more Ponderosa videos I watch, he's just got this laugh that I can't even explain to you. But anyway, he's getting along with Michelle and Taylor, and then Jessica comes in and he's like, I don't really know if we're going to click at all. And then they both find out that they were lying about their professions, and both of them are lawyers in real life, and Chris is a defense attorney and Jess is a prosecutor. And Jessica was like, maybe that was just why we didn't like each other. We just didn't know that was the reason, but we knew there was some reason we didn't get along.
Yeah, maybe there's something to that.
It could be. They really don't like each other, defense attorneys and prosecutors. So.
Yeah, Jess took her boot so bad during the tribal.
She was weeping as she was walking away.
I was like a little surprised, like how bad Jay took it. Jay was all teared up.
Yeah.
It's sad. It must have been hard for all of them to see that.
No, I think, yeah, their faces were just like, it's like you just escaped a firing squad. You know what I mean?
Did Jay draw rocks?
No, he didn't have to because he had the idol, but to sit there, the necklace, but to sit there and watch it must have just been like.
I think especially watching Jess get voted out because she took it so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I think she wanted it so bad and other people might have handled it better, but she took it really bad.
And I think after that, because before the last time they had a rock draw with Tyson just being a stone cold killer and being like, yeah, I'm ready to draw rocks. I don't even care. And it worked out in his favor. And we lost Catie, who wasn't that interesting of a character anyway. You know, it was like, yeah, that's what you do. But in this case, I feel like you have to look at going to rocks is not always the best idea. You should avoid it at all costs.
There's a good time and a bad time, I think.
This was a bad time.
This was a bad time. Yeah, I think I'm stealing this from what I heard on Rob C and Steve's podcast, but you got to think about South Pacific when I think it was like Cochran and coaches, like Coach had this strong alliance, and it was pretty obvious that those guys weren't going to budge ever. There was no wiggle room. Right. So the best move would have been to go to rocks for those people, because instead of Cochran flipping, their best move would have been rocks, because it was such a strong alliance, and that's the only time you do it. You got to roll the dice and hope it's one of them.
But Cochran was so deathly terrified of going to rocks, and this justifies that fear. That was horrible what happened. So
yeah, it does justify that fear.
And that's why it's only happened 3 times, because it's such a horrifying way to go out of the game. Because your social game, your physical game, I mean, I guess if you won the idol, you don't have to draw rocks. And if you have an idol, you don't have to draw rocks. But nothing else plays into it. It's pure dumb luck.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, I mean, luck is a big part of the game, but you don't want it to be that big of the reason why you go home.
Absolutely. All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about as far as, I mean, we've recapped the entire 2 hours.
No, let's do our MVPs and our predictions. I'm ready for that.
Okay. MVPs for the whole 2-hour block?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is the best in the 2 hours?
Jay. Came out smelling like a rose.
Yeah, good one.
I feel like Zeke and David played their hands too soon, and now they both can't make it much further. One of them's going soon.
I'll give it to Zeke because I feel like it was like a battle of Zeke and David, and Zeke won. Basically, that's as simple as that. Like, a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck came into play, but he was ultimately the winner of the head-to-head match, and so I'll give it to Zeke.
Isn't it funny that David's troops were the ones wavering, and one of David's troops got taken out?
Yeah, I mean, how that's part of the problem with the game of chicken. You can't show any sign of wavering.
Yep.
You got to go head to head. You're not swerving.
No, she swerved.
Not swerving.
And the universe was like, she flinched, get her.
Exactly.
And they got her.
Almost like what happened. So
makes you wonder.
Kind of makes you wonder.
It does, yeah.
All right. Well, let's do predictions for next week.
Boy, I don't know. I say Hannah.
I haven't seen any previews I guess there was one at the end of the episode. What
Yeah,
happened
Will's
again?
ready to start playing hard.
Oh, Will's gonna
So
play hard now.
yeah, he's gonna play hard now. Looks like he's switching to Team David. That guy blows with the wind, man. He's got no loyalties. Even if he makes it to the end, no chance. No chance that guy wins.
I don't know. I like that kind of gameplay. Doesn't always work out, but I
But
like the
it's
blow
just
with the wind
even
players.
Jay, who you'd say was his tightest person, like he completely betrayed him at this point. So they happened to be on the same side for the moment, but he told the world about his idol. And so
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I'm not sure if he knows at this point, but if Will flips, Jay will be made aware.
I
So
love how he told Zeke, like, I trust that you won't tell anyone, and Zeke goes and tells everybody immediately.
he really did.
That was so great.
It was classic. That was such a good. The Thanksgiving episodes, man. Tier 1, if not above tier 1.
Absolutely tier 1 episodes. If
That second one was one of the greatest episodes of Survivor I've seen in a long, long time. So.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that, but it's true. It's just true.
Even while I was watching it, I was like, it started out with the Zeke and David thing. Then you had the inchworm thing and the Brett and Zeke moment, ending with the rock draw. I was like, this is too much. This is too good.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons you can like Survivor, but at the end of the day, it's entertainment, and I felt thoroughly entertained during the entire 2 hours.
Yeah,
I was like enjoying it so much. So
yeah, I couldn't look at the screen during the rock draw. I just waited. I closed my eyes and waited for them to say, and then I heard "Sorry, Jess," and I was like, "Yeah, I kind of figured that's how it was going to go." But it could have been Adam. It could have.
You missed a good cut because they they cut to each person in order.
Did they?
Well, each person holding out their rock.
Oh boy!
And because Jess was sitting on the right side, they were able to start at the left side and go down the line, look at each person holding the white rock, and then boom, Jess has the black rock.
Man, the cameramen and the producers and the trailers that night must have been like high-fiving each other.
They're like, "This is amazing television."
Out of the park.
It's too bad too, because a lot of Survivor haters out there, and like, how are you ever going to convince anyone to give Survivor a chance on season 33? But man, they don't know what they're missing with episodes like this. Like, it's really good entertainment. It was really good.
Yep. That was peak Survivor this week. So
definitely. Yeah. Did I say my prediction yet? I don't think I did.
No, I don't think you did. Let's hear it.
Shit. See, I feel like the targets are going to be like David, Zeke, Adam, and Jay. Those are like
I feel like Will might want to go after Jay, but maybe Zeke. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, let's say they all decide to go after Jay, and Jay realizes it's time to play that idol. Who does he idol out of the game? Who does he want to get out? That's another.
There was another secret scene where Jay was talking about, I don't want to just use this idol to save myself. I want to use it to idol somebody big out of the game. Like, I want to use it as effectively as possible. So he's thinking that, and that's why I think he keeps sitting on it. He wants to get somebody like a Zeke. Well, Zeke's on his side right now, I guess, but maybe down the road, that's who he wants to get out of the game. So,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe Jay realizes Zeke's the guy he's got to get out.
Yeah.
And Zeke don't have no idol. So.
He doesn't. But now there's probably another one out there. Do you think they'll put it back out there?
Maybe.
There's still two that no one knows about Adams.
I don't know if they will. Because, I mean.
Yeah, because there's still two out there.
With two out there, it's like you have the pieces in play to make for some great episodes.
Yeah.
You should kind of just let it lay,
Yeah, I think they might not put another one out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Zeke goes home.
No. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready for Chris to go home either. So what do you do?
Zeke going out of the game.
Rough.
All right. Well, that does it for this episode of the TV is a Real Mom Survivor recap podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thank you guys for bearing with us for what looks
a bit
to be
longer.
An hour and 15 minutes almost. But I suppose that works out with a 2-hour episode. So Thank you for
Sure.
listening.
Still not long enough to praise this episode of Survivor.
Right. It deserves 3 hours of podcasting.
Yes.
Yep. Just want to say thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next week when we break down episode. Are we calling it 12?
Yeah.
Episode 12. Yep. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Good night.